I'm Ian McConnell, and I'm uncomfortable with Ian McConnell. This is Uncomfortable with Ian McConnell. Brought to you by Pivotal Moments Media.
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome to Uncomfortable with Ian McConnell. I am Ian McConnell. I'm uncomfortable with myself, which is kind of rad. I have noticed that I didn't really become uncomfortable with myself until a couple of years ago, and then things just kind of started going haywire, and I was like, oh man, how am I going to fix this? Being uncomfortable is so bad, but I don't know that it is, actually. I feel like I've come around on being uncomfortable. It's not bad, because when you're comfortable, you don't want to move. And I have been comfortable at many times in my life, and I'm just like not motivated to change anything, because I'm like, oh, everything is cool right now, so then eventually I get bored, and I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to spice this up? I'm going to go and do something that I haven't done before, haven't felt before, or whatever. And then I put myself in a place of being uncomfortable, and then I regret it immediately. Because I'm like, oh, I had it made. What am I doing? Why am I self-inflicting all this pain to myself? But it's not really that. Eventually, I come around to the other side. I have this thing lately where I've been trying to live life by the scientific method. The scientific method, if you don't know, you ask a question, and then you do a little research, and then you make a guess about what would happen if you changed the thing. That's called a hypothesis. If I do this, then this will happen. So I make a guess, and then I run an experiment to see if I can disprove that thing or not. And then I will record my results and run it as many times as I need to do it. And it's been interesting, because there's a lot of experiments you can run on yourself. You can ethically experiment on humans if you just do it yourself. It's amazing. But anyway, I started doing this a couple years ago because a number of things kind of went down. I wrote this song a couple of years ago, and I was listening to my own music this week, as artists do. If you enjoy your music, I enjoy my own music. I think I really get me. I think that's cool. But I was listening to a song of mine. Oh, I dropped my pick. Oh, and it's the same color as it's under my shoe. I was listening to a song of mine that I made a couple of years ago before I started feeling really uncomfortable about myself and trying to find my place in the world and who I am and all this kind of nonsense. There was something that I found in this song from a couple of years ago that I don't think that I intended, but was cool. So I'm going to play a little bit of this song. It's called Fine. Just going to play a little bit of it. Here we go. It's like this. I would be fine being alone forever. I don't need a girl to feel like there's meaning in my life. I've got some great family and friends. I do what I love, and so in the end, I would be fine being alone. I would be fine. But I don't wanna be fine, I don't wanna be obsessed, I wanna feel too much, I wanna be a mess. I don't wanna be good, I wanna be the best, wanna be over the moon, the way that I am with you. And you wrap me up and kiss me slow and say my name. Now that I know what better is like, I don't wanna be fine. And so on and so forth. The rest of the song is talking about, oh my gosh, I didn't know being in love was going to be so great. But now that I've been in love, I never want to not be in love. Woohoo, shocker. I found out that love feels good. Amazing. I really am breaking new ground on this kind of thing. But one thing about that song that I noticed is at the very end of the chorus that, now that I know what better is like, I don't want to be fine. Now that I know what better is like, I don't want to be fine. And I realized this week that that's like the main source of all my problems, is finding out what better is like. I'm all good until I know that there's a better alternative. And then I'm like, oh man, I want that. That's going to be so great. And then sometimes it just, doesn't work out for a number of reasons. Most times when you find out that you can do better, you can't sustain it all the time. And that's such a bummer. Like 6 days after I wrote that song about the love of my life at the time, we broke up. And it was like grief over like, oh man, I can't currently feel this feeling anymore that I just said that I wanted to feel forever. And also I had like mapped out in my mind, oh my gosh, I'm with this person. It's so fantastic. We're going to keep feeling this feeling for so long. And I have this like future of feeling this way that I am looking forward to and all this stuff. And then the future kind of dies too, with that. And then you have to figure out how to live in the future that you didn't imagine and say goodbye to this other thing that you thought was gonna last forever. And that happens with big things and it happens with small things too. I do this all the time. I find out something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna make my life so much better with all this new information. And then for one reason or another, it just isn't plausible. And then I have to just kind of like be bummed that the thing that I thought was gonna be so helpful in my life is, just not plausible. And it's big things like love, and it's small things like 5 weeks ago, I wrote this little thing about learning how to cook. It's called Learning How to Cook, and it's like this. I'm learning how to cook. It never bothered me that I only ever knew 3 recipes until recently. Now I'm expanding my horizons, mostly cause I'm sick of eating stir fry and rice and beans. It's like a Lego set where almost every single block is a little wet, and any manual I want is on the internet, and I can put it in my mouth when I hit the end. Oh, I got a crock pot, I got a pan, I got a soft spot for what I make with my own 2 hands. Live in the era of the grocery store, stock up on spices that they once fought wars for. I got a freezer, I got a fridge, I got ingredients historically reserved for the ultra rich. It's never been easier to casually keep yourself alive. I'm learning how to cook. I was learning how to cook. Thank you very much. And that was great. I was so pumped about learning how to cook, and it turned out it was like a 10-day phase. I really enjoyed learning how to cook, and then at some point I was like, actually this is not how I want to spend my time at the moment. I've got some good recipes already. I know how to feed myself. I really need to be working on my music. I got stuff to do, all that kind of nonsense. So I stopped doing that, but unfortunately I learned what it was like to eat good meals every night that I made with my hands from fresh ingredients, and it was so great. And in my mind I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is such a level up. From here on out, I'm only going to eat delicious meals that I make for myself and stuff like that. And I don't spend the time to do it. And so now going back to my stir fry and rice and beans is such a bummer. And I'm just like, I'm kind of like not excited to like eat food. And so then I end up going longer without eating food, or I end up getting more takeout, or I end up making food and I'm just like, I'm so like bummed about making this. And so actually knowing that I can do better with my food made me less happy, which was against my hypothesis. I thought the idea that if I learn how to cook and I spend a little bit of time doing this, that's gonna really level up my whole life, and it kind of did the opposite, which made me angry because I hate being wrong. But unfortunately, that's kind of what happens in science. When you do the scientific method, you're trying to prove yourself wrong, but I don't like to be wrong. It's a bummer. In cooking, I had this idea that I was gonna eat great meals all the time, and in love, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel in love all the time, and it's gonna be so great. And then those futures kind of just disappear. They either fade away or they come crashing down in some great event or whatever. And it's a bummer, and it's kind of hard to deal with. And I was thinking about that this week, and this is kind of what I had to say about that. Here I am grieving some future that I invented again. Mad at nobody but me for imagining a life that makes this one feel like mediocrity. There I was dreaming so vividly that I thought it was true, only to look up and find that my stupid mind ran off and got attached to things that were never mine. I always do this, I'm fucking stupid. I'm only happy when I don't think about what could be. I want to want nothing, and I almost do. I want anything but to be away from you. I always do this, I always do this. I do always do that. And I was really living in it yesterday. One of the things that I've been trying to do, one of my experiments is what would happen if I just let myself feel emotions, Because for a long time in my life, I was like, oh, bad emotions are bad. Uncomfortable emotions, I should avoid them. I should push them to the side, and I should only focus on how to turn that into a positive, and it will be so great. The way that I am just so able to be positive all the time, even when I have bad feelings, because I can just push them down. But I'm trying to feel them, and it turns out it kind of rocks. Because, we, as humans, we have come down through billions of years of evolution to have this thing called pain. And pain is great because pain keeps us alive. Pain is our body being like, hey, pay attention. It's like a little warning light. And if you ignore the warning light, you can die, and that would be bad. And the pain, goes beyond just the pain that you feel like, oh my gosh, I got stabbed in the foot. It's also like, oh my gosh, I feel uncomfortable with my relationship with this person or something like that. And I just think that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to like feel the thing, because when you allow yourself to feel the thing, it's just, I'm saying you. I don't know what it's like to be you, but I know what it's like to be me. It seems to have worked for me. Like just feeling the things that come in and you're like, all right, I feel like I understand something. And now I'm tired of feeling that way. So I'm just gonna do one of the 5 main things that automatically makes me feel better. I learned there's like 5 things that make me feel automatically better, and it's so annoying because it's so much simpler than you think it is. Literally, anytime I'm feeling bad, 99% of the time, I say at any time, 99% of the time, I can solve it with going outside, exercising, talking to a person, eating food, or going to sleep. Anytime, it's always one of those 5 things, and anytime I do it, I'm like, ugh, dumb. It's so much easier than you think it is. But anyway, it's been cool to kind of feel feelings, because then you come out on the other side after going for that walk with a friend. You knock out 3 of those things. If you go for a walk with a friend with a sandwich, that's 4 of the things. It's hard to go for a walk and sleep. It's hard to do all 5 at the same time. But I'm going to figure it out one day. I'm going to be really efficient in my self-care one day. It's going to be good. But anyway, you do that, and it's kind of like, we always talk about like, oh, it's an emotional roller coaster, but it does kind of feel like a roller coaster. When you're going on a roller coaster, there's like terror, and there's maybe pain of like, oh my gosh, that thing happened with my neck when we went around that corner, and then you kind of get back around and you're like, whoo, that was sick though. It was so fun. There were so many uncomfortable parts of it, but like now I came around, turns out I'm fine. All the things that I was scared about that I thought, oh my gosh, what if I don't live through being embarrassed by this thing? What if I don't live through? You do live through those things. I mean, some things you don't live through, but in that case, that doesn't apply to this situation. When you do, and you find out that you do live through it, you're like, okay, actually, I think I like roller coasters. I'm going to go on a different roller coaster that might be slightly similar, but it's going to be a different roller coaster every time, because you can't have the same thing happen over and over and over. But anyway, I'm wrapping up here. One of my experiments today, this week, was to see what happened if I waited until today to put my little act together for today. And my hypothesis was that if I waited until today, I would still put on an entertaining show. And if I proved myself wrong and totally bombed in front of all of you, I would be angry and I would be uncomfortable. But I would know for next time, hey, you need to not wait until the last day to do the thing. And I would learn and I'd be mad about it. But then I would come back around, I would find that I had survived bombing in front of all you lovely people. And I'd be better because of it. But one of the pieces of that is that I didn't figure out a good ending for this. So I'm just going to play this thing that before we have Maddy Hicks come up and we're going to chat about art and stuff like that. I spent 20 minutes on Twitter today, and then I wrote this thing. It's called 20 Minutes on Twitter. Thanks to Pivotal Moments for sponsoring us today. Thanks to Almost Friday for having us in your space. Thanks to Jeremy for making us look and sound good. It's a good time. I'm glad to be here. This is a different art form that I'm not practiced at, and I'm excited to kind of get my feet wet and doing something else. It's just cool. Everybody wants me to be mad about something, but they don't agree about what. I'm happy there are people that are mad about some things, but I don't want to be one. 'Cause I've tried that, I've been mad, and it's not the way I'd like to live my life. That's not how it goes. I don't remember how this song goes. 'Cause I've tried that, I've been mad, and it just is not my favorite way to live. So I sit back and watch as public opinion sways and shifts. 'Cause everybody wants me to be mad about something, but they don't agree about what. I'm happy there are people who are mad about some things, but I'd like to not be one. I would like to not be one. 20 minutes on Twitter. Thank you very much. Maddy Hicks is going to come and join us, and we're going to talk about some stuff. Let's make it happen. Come on up. Yeah. Maddy Hicks. Woohoo!
Hello.
Hello. I found you. I found your art before I found you. And that's so cool.
That's really cool to me, because I did not have that experience and was pleasantly surprised to discover you.
That's so nice. It's nice to have a little bit of both. Do you find that you meet lots of people, or any people, that you know what they do before you meet them?
It's It's occasional. I think that lately I'm deliberately trying to seek out people doing kind of what I'm doing here and in this world and reach out to them first, because there's a little bit more control in that. Like
there
that.
is.
But I also, there's been a couple times where I'm like, I have listened to a ton of your music and it's really cool to talk to you.
Yeah.
Which is very fun.
Have you found that do you feel like there are other people around you like pursuing the same goals that you're pursuing?
Definitely. I think I kind of sought them out at first, because when I first came to Nashville, it was for Belmont, and
right.
all my roommates were more into like music business than into like artistry. And so it took a couple years to find like not just people doing what I was doing, but people that I resonated with doing what I was doing.
Right.
So
yeah. Do you remember? I was talking to my friend Krista this week about. I have this theory that like everybody before they make good art has to be told that they're bad and believe it. Do you feel like that happened?
Absolutely. I have so many examples. One that comes to mind is I was in like 6th grade and trying to submit to like song competitions, and I wrote a song called Circumlocution.
Okay.
Which is a word that means a roundabout way of saying something, because I thought that was funny and like quirky. And I submitted it, and they were like, "This has no practical relevance." And I was like, "Okay, I'll just stop."
What do they know? Maybe it does.
Yeah, it made me mad.
All the word nerds in the world would love that.
Exactly. I'm a huge word nerd.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
There's so many good words.
There are.
You're a big rhymer, yeah?
I love rhyme in sneaky places. Yeah.
Are you an Eminem fan?
I know enough of him to know that if I really could be. I could totally dive in.
Yeah.
But I've held myself back.
Yeah. I get it. It's not for everybody. I remember listening to Eminem and just being like, I don't even, when I started listening, I was probably a teenager, and I was like, I didn't even know you could like put words together like that. Like the way that he, the door hinge, orange,
right.
snore hinge. I don't even know what he says, but stuff like that. I don't know. It's fascinating. The way that we like learn to put ideas together from little influences all around is wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly, but I remember when Hamilton first came out, I was like, okay, Lin-Manuel Miranda's a wizard, and I need to know everything he's ever done.
Yeah. Did you find everything he's ever done?
I mean, a little bit. I definitely bought like the Hamilton like script with his notes on it, sort of thing, where he's like, I wrote this because it's a reference to this song and this, and I was like, there's a whole world of information.
Did you like Moana? Did you watch Moana?
I did. I watched that for I think it was like my 16th birthday party. I had my friends all go out to the movie theater. It was fun.
I love Moana. That's a fun one. Yeah.
16th, 18th? One of them.
I don't know. I don't remember when it came out.
You weren't there at my birthday party?
I was not there at your birthday party. Yeah, you forgot to invite me. I meant to. Man, that's terrible. Do you know, this is a little bit of a weird segue, but do you feel like you know what you want out of like all of this, out of making music and stuff like that?
I think that's one of the things I try to hide from a lot of the time, because I've tried to face it, and like I've definitely come to the conclusion that it's not fame, because I get really uncomfortable when there's a lot of attention on me.
Nice.
So I'm like, what am I doing this for then? And I think part of it is just like, I would be doing it anyway, so I might as well like take it as far as it can go and just see what happens.
Yeah.
And I also love when people get something out of it. I think that's like, that's when I like feel like, oh, purpose. I get it. Like when someone's like, I heard this song and I'm going through the exact same thing or something totally different, and somehow it made me feel better, and I'm like, that's why I do it. Okay, cool.
That's cool. Do you feel like that was your goal ever, fame?
Probably. As a kid, I think I had like a 10-step plan of like the last step being like be on Dancing with the Stars.
Ooh, that is the epitome of, you and Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think as a kid, I was like, I want to be seen by everyone.
Yeah.
But then I went through middle school and puberty and was like, ugh, I don't like being seen.
Yeah.
But
how did it feel? Because you had a big TikTok moment last year.
I did.
And that song is great. Kinda Over It is a great song. I love that song.
Thank you.
And you've had other, TikTok moments and stuff like that. But was that your first thing that like really popped off?
It was and it wasn't. Like a week and a half earlier, something started to get traction, and it was like it was doing really well by the time that Kind of Over It popped off, but Kind of Over It was the first, like, within 24 hours, we were in the millions sort of thing.
Is that the one where you're lying on the ground?
That was the first one. That was Sleeping with Anxiety.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Thank you.
Ah, man, that's good. Yeah. Do you feel like having, like, kind of that concept of, like, now that you know better, like, are you disappointed by, like, lower numbers, or do you feel like you've, like, learned to live with?
I think I'm at the point where I'm like, if I like it and I know it's something, then it's not going to do numbers. But I have to, like, take
That's the spirit. Yeah. Not with that attitude.
I have to take advantage of the moments of just randomness and know that some of those people will stick around, and then they're here for whatever I like and want to release. But, like, I don't know. I think it's mostly random at this point. And so I don't feel like I regret it as much anymore. Like, at first I was like, this sucks. Like, I didn't plan this. I would never want to release this song. And then, you know, you learn to, like, lean into it. And now,
why did you not want to release it, Maddy Hicks?
There are a lot of expletives in it.
There are a lot of expletives in that song.
I hadn't ever sworn in my music or said anything explicit, and my parents hadn't heard it. And I was like, what is the universe where I could release this? This is crazy. But it turned out totally fine. They didn't care at all. And, you know, now I feel like I can say anything. So
that's true. Once you kind of break through that little first barrier of just like, I'm my own person.
Yep.
It's nice.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but
yeah,
I'm glad I released it.
That's good. That's good. I always have, like, worry about what my parents are going to think, because I'm so like, oh, nobody worry about me. I'm fine. I can do it myself. It's all going to be fine. And my parents are like, we're worried about you. Are you doing fine? I'm like, stop doing that. And they're like, we can't help it. I'm like, then don't tell me.
Yep. Totally get that.
Yeah. Parents, man.
Yeah.
I'm 27 now, and I thought it was going to magically go away when I turned 22.
They still check in.
They do.
I hear from, like, people older than us even that doesn't go away. So it's just always there.
Yeah. You're very, like, honest and specific in your music. Does that part, like, freak you out? Have you gotten used to it yet?
I think I'm used to it now. I used to be really specific without there being honesty behind it, because I hadn't had that many experiences, like, growing up or as a kid. Like, sure. I would just make up stories. And since coming to college and meeting more people and things, it started to be a bit more like, what can I actually say? But I've learned through TikTok and what's validated on there that it's better if you just say whatever comes out. Like, that's what's meant to be said. And I think it's also kind of, there's, like, a fear and a terror, but also an excitement in being like, this song did really well. I guess I have to, like, keep being honest with it or release the rest of it and, like, actually say how I feel, and whoever I wrote it about might hear it or whatever. And maybe that's meant to be that way. And it's like an excuse to be even more honest. So, yeah.
Do you feel like you sort out, 'cause, like, I assume at some point your emotions get sorted out through that process. Do you feel like that happens before you write it? Do you feel like it happens as you write it, or, like, after, once you see what it does?
I think most of the time it's as I write it. Like, I've definitely had moments of, like, just writing casually and it's like, oh, why am I crying? That's a lot. I guess I just figured something out. But then sometimes I've found that some songs I'll write about one thing years later, and as people have different experiences with them, it changes meaning. Or I have another experience that now when I play that song, I think of something totally different. So it's like the healing can kind of come back and, like, heal again in new ways, which is cool.
Yeah. I've always, man, being honest in music, especially on TikTok and stuff where you can see, like, rapid response. Yeah. It's like, if I am vulnerable and honest and it blows up, I'm like, man, I've got the key. This is amazing. But if I'm vulnerable and honest and it tanks, I'm like, I put myself out there for no reason. I could have just kept it in, but you don't know. That's always the thing.
It's also, if it didn't get views, then there's no reason to be embarrassed.
That's true. Yeah, you'd think that I would know that.
Yeah.
I do know it in my brain, but I, like, can't get it to communicate with, like, my emotional part.
Yeah.
That I shouldn't care.
I'm definitely at the point where I'm like, this is the most, you know, personal, important song I've ever written, and I know it's not going to do anything. Like, because I've already put that in my brain. So I try to catch myself in off moments of, like, I'm emotional about something else. I should record this song that I love, and maybe then it'll trick the internet into liking it. But minimal results so far.
That's so funny. Yeah, you do kind of have to strike when the iron's hot, I guess. With writing, with recording, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you record your music?
I do.
Okay.
Wait, do you mean I physically?
Do you physically record your music?
No.
Okay,
well,
you have a producer that does
yes.
stuff? Okay.
Some of the time I record my vocals and my guitar parts at home and comp all that and send it out, but I've never really gotten to the point where I feel super called to figure out how Logic and Pro Tools and everything works in terms of building on top of just a vocal track. So
yeah. It's difficult to I think so often about oh man, I'd really like to be good at that thing, but am I really willing to put in years of work? I feel like I've already put in years of work at getting good at other things, and I'm not using all of those things. Maybe I could spend the time to figure out how to put all those together, but maybe I just need to learn how to shoot a video. I don't know.
It's so hard. I'm definitely the let's organize everything person, and so there have been times in my life where I'm it's an easy solution. If I just practice both guitar, piano, and voice for an hour every day of my life, then I will get better. And then the first day I'm oh, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah, it turns out desire is a really important resource. Yeah. Because I found even if I know what it's like to be I'm gonna push through it, I'm gonna do it anyway, and I did that for so much in school and all that stuff. You're I can do this, and I don't enjoy it. Yeah. You know? Now, and I feel as I get older, especially, I'm just I would rather spend less time doing things that I don't enjoy if I can make it work otherwise. Right, exactly. Yeah. Are there any skills you learned you're really good at that you just don't use anymore? Skills I learned I'm really good at. I'm really good at math proofs. Wow. I used to, I majored in math in college and did all these abstract math classes and stuff. And I would get problem sets, and it would be you just have to do 3 of these 12 by next Wednesday. And I'd go home and I'd start working on it. I'd be this is so interesting. Okay, I don't know what to do. I'm going to go for a run and mull it over. And I had this whole system down, and now I don't do that as much. And I get really frustrated when I don't immediately see the solution. But I know that if I just let it sit and go, it would be fine. Right. Perhaps that would be the case if I prepared more for my little podcasts. If I wrote it on Monday and then I thought about it, maybe it would be better by Wednesday. I thought it was great. Thanks. That's very kind. Yeah. I actually thought it went pretty well too. Yeah. So I'm cool with it. So hypothesis is correct. Hypothesis correct. Yeah. Well, that's dangerous because I have found that I always have to go too far and make a fool of myself because I am so scared of being embarrassed. And even though I know that nothing really actually bad, I'm gonna live, I'm not gonna lose friends over being embarrassed. Right. It's still just the worst feeling. But you do learn from it. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah, I try to avoid it at all costs. But yeah, I know. It's especially hard online because everything is embarrassing. Yeah. Admitting that you have feelings is embarrassing. It really is. Even just putting your face in a video is embarrassing. True. Do you write your stuff by yourself mostly, or with other people, or a mix? A mix. I wrote by myself most of my life, and then a little bit in college, just learning and experimenting with other people. And then last year, I did a ton of co-writes, and that was a really good learning process because I just stopped writing on my own, and that was kind of detrimental because the thing that I'm really good at, I wasn't able to bring into a write anymore. So this year I'm trying to go back to just me for a little while and do the occasional co-write. Yeah, but, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, you were asking about skills that I had that I don't use much anymore. I used to write for other people all the time. Yeah. And just constantly okay, bring in this artist. Me and my friend Lydia especially, she would bring him in and she would get them to open up, and I'd just be on the side taking notes yes, okay, yeah. And then they'd be okay, so what should we write about? I'm how about this entire chorus? And they're that's exactly how I feel. And I'm I've got it down. And now I don't feel like I do that anymore because I felt like I was not that wasn't what I loved about making music, and I feel like it will be again, but I had to figure out what I actually had to say and figure out who am I before I can figure out who are you. Right, you know? Right. So that's something I don't use, but I feel like I could use it again in the future. Yeah. In theory, life is long. Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's funny how those skills, writing a song for yourself, writing a song for someone else, they seem like they'd be identical, but they're so vastly different because writing a song for someone else, I could book 5 of those a week and be just fine, but writing for myself, 3 a week is a lot. It takes a lot to go into that place with other people, and so it's definitely tricky. Totally different skill sets. But. Yeah. I haven't figured out even writing for myself with other people. I've been trying to attempt to get back into it recently, and I end up just talking to people, and I'm just like, I even tell them, like, my favorite thing really to do is just to, like, talk with you for 2 hours and then go off and do it by myself.
Yeah.
Because I got your ideas, and then I feel bad about stealing people's ideas. But I'm not really stealing them. They could, in theory, do that themselves.
That's true. You both go write totally different songs about what you just talked about.
Yeah, but the expression part of, like, I'm willing to be vulnerable and, like, talk about things, but the expression part of, like, creating it and putting it into my voice and stuff, I'm like, I feel bad that I don't know how to bring you into this. And then I'm like, okay, now we're just two separate people in the same room and we're not doing the same thing.
Yeah. It's like the pressure to do what you do, but out loud and open it up to other people sort of thing, which is tricky.
Yeah.
But it is nice when you start to find the people that you can open up to a lot, and you can tell them, I actually don't like that idea, like, let's go back and find something else, and that's what they're there to do, and they're excited about it.
Yeah.
I feel like I've finally started locking in a couple people that feel that way, and so that's been really affirming, because it only takes like 1 or 2 bad writes in a row until you're like, I can never do this again.
Never do it again. Exactly.
It's the worst.
Do you feel like how is your life balanced off of, like, creating something and trying to live things that you have to create later and, like, sort out?
Like filling the well sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's tricky. I feel like I'm such an, like I said, organized person that I really try to schedule my whole week out and be like, this day I'm going to write a bunch. But then I'll find, like, on my busiest day, I actually want to sit down and write real quick. Or like when it comes to that day, I have nothing that I actually want to write about. But I find that when I'm just writing on my own, I can do my life like normal and the ideas will always keep coming. But if I'm scheduling writes in my week, I don't find time by myself to sit down and think of ideas. So it's really interesting.
Man, routine is hard, and scheduling yourself, especially when you're, like, writing on your own. Do you schedule your own writes? Like, do you like at 5 p.m. on Thursday, I'm going to sit down and write?
My latest system, because there's been an evolution of systems.
Yeah.
My latest system is to just have a list of things to do every day, and then I just started write something on the list every day. So if I get to the end of the list and it's like 11 p.m. and I'm exhausted, I'll be like, I'm just gonna write in my journal, or I'm just gonna write a little poem. But if it's like 3 p.m. on a Saturday and I'm like, I really want to write a song right now, I'll, like, check that off first. So yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear a song. You got a song today?
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like a full song or like a semi-song?
Whatever you'd like. I mean, if you've got a full song you'd love to play, I'd love to hear it.
I've got a full song.
I'm all about, I want to, like, show other people that I think are good, so.
That's cool. Oh, is this hot on something? Oh, there it goes.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And you don't need to pick.
No, I don't.
Okay, cool.
And I don't need this either. But thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, this is my most recent single that I released. And speaking of co-writes, it was like one of the first co-writes I'd ever had where I was like, this is what it's supposed to feel like. And afterward, I wasn't like, I would have done it like this. I was like, no, we built it the exact way I wanted to. And I love this song. I would release the song. So I did.
Cool.
It's called Deadline.
Oh, the volume on the right side, yeah.
Ah, there we go. Okay. How did it take 8 months to say how we felt after one? Oh, what a joke, what perfect timing. You're moving away next week, but I still wear your shirt when I sleep. I kinda hope you leave it behind and come find it. It's always college, a job ends, or an ex is back from vacation. Tell me why all my first dates have expirations. I let it happen again and my heart is racing ahead and I'm full speed at a red light. There's something wrong with my head 'cause I'm only making my bed if your heart has a for rent sign. And I knew that it was over the second that we tried. So what did I? You'll be leaving soon, but I wish I didn't have to love you on a deadline. I'm hanging out with your friends, so you'll think of me when you're with them. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm doing, and I don't love
does everything fall through when it gets good? I let it happen again and my heart is racing ahead and I'm full speed at a red light. There's something wrong with my head 'cause I'm only making my bed if your heart has a for rent sign. And I knew that it was over the second that we tried. So I did. You'll be leaving soon, but I wish I didn't have to love you on a deadline. I don't wanna love you on a deadline. I don't wanna love you on a last date, on the last night, doing everything for the last time. When you ask me if I'll miss you, I don't wanna love you, I don't wanna love you. When you're packing and I'm anxious and I'm acting like I'm not a train wreck or at the airport. When I tell you I don't wanna love you, I don't wanna love you, but I let it happen again and my heart is racing ahead and I'm full speed at a red light. There's something wrong with my head 'cause I'm only making my bed if your heart has a for rent sign. And I knew that it was over the second that we tried. So I did. You'll be leaving soon, but I wish I didn't have to love you on a deadline.
Man, that's fire. We didn't even talk about how we were very wordy, both of
We
us.
love words.
Words are great, and I know we gotta wrap it up, but you also just write lyrics like you speak.
Yes.
Yeah, I know a lot of folks that don't do that, and it's like more poetic kind of thing. But
Yeah.
you just kind of say your thing.
I just want to, like, one of my songwriting professors always said, just say the damn thing. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it how I would say it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do that too. I love doing that. It's so fun. You
It's
can
the
just kind of
best.
talk over. Do you make up like do you like sing your thoughts ever?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had this really weird thing where I kept singing my thoughts to the tune of My Little Pony.
Oh, that's good. I do that to the Looney Tunes theme song. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll try that out.
Okay, cool. Maddy Hicks, thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having
This has been
me.
Uncomfortable with Ian McConnell. Have you been comfortable?
I'm so uncomfortable.
That's fantastic. We're all uncomfortable. Thanks for being here. We'll be back next week. Cheers.
That's so fun.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you bet.
It's a good time.